Yes, it is official. In the United States of America, Ripple has submitted an application for a national banking license. The implications of this situation for Ripple as a corporation, XRP as a token, and RLUSD as a stablecoin are rather intriguing. In any case, you have located the appropriate movie for that information. I have been conducting study on this topic for more than a year now, guys. I am in possession of all the essential information that you want, including the manner in which this will, of course, have an effect on our XRP holdings. Before I get into all of the jazz and all of the really fantastic stuff that you are here for, let's go ahead and make sure that we have a better understanding of what Brad Garlinghouse is actually saying here. The statement that follows is made by Brad Garlinghouse. In keeping with our land's long-standing compliance routes, Ripple is submitting an application to the OC for a national bank charter. If it were to be adopted, we would have oversight from both the state and the federal government, which would set a new standard for confidence in the stablecoin market earlier this week through the use of standard custody. Additionally, we submitted an application for a master account with the Federal Reserve. During the time when Congress is working on clear rules and regulations and banks are leaning in, this access would make it possible for us to maintain reserves of RLUSD directly with the Fed. Additionally, it would give an extra layer of security to future-proof faith in RLUSD. Within the market that is worth more than $250 billion, Ripple as always and will continue to construct infrastructure that is reliable, tested in war and secure. RLUSD distinguishes out because it prioritizes regulation, and by doing so it establishes the benchmark that other institutions anticipate. It is important to keep in mind that Ripple was waiting for clearance from the New York Department of Financial Services when they launched RLUSD. In the state of New York, that is at the state level. Without a doubt, this would make it possible for them to get clients from all over the United States, in addition to a great deal of other benefits. Yes, I did start a topic about this. If you are not currently following me on X, I would appreciate it if you would do so. Right instantly, a great deal of fresh information is published on the internet. And of course, I create at least 2 films for you every single day in order to keep you abreast of everything that is going on in the XRP area, the CBDC world, and of course, the cryptocurrency space. Consequently, check that you are following. In addition, if you are interested in attending these live broadcasts that I host, please make sure to check them out on Tuesdays and Fridays. Well, since I am aware that this is exactly what you have been looking forward to, let's go ahead and get started. Let's begin with XRP, which is the most significant advantage of this cryptocurrency. Immediate access to regulatory oversight such as a bank. For the purpose of liquidity and settlement, Ripple may utilize XRP directly in the United States, so bypassing the regulatory restrictions that now exist, which compelled it to employ alternatives such as USDT within the country. This would increase the usefulness of XRP within the financial system of the United States. Therefore, in case you are unaware, Ripple was utilizing USDT. At this point, they had not yet introduced RLUSD. It is possible that they have replaced the USDT with their own stablecoin and have discontinued the use of the USDT, yet this would be a significant advantage for XRP. XRP is meant to be a bridge currency for cross-border payments, enabling rapid and cost-effective transfers between various fiat currencies. It is planned to be liquid on demand like other cryptocurrencies. If Ripple were a bank, it would be able to grow this service both domestically and internationally, therefore decreasing the requirement for pre-funded accounts and freeing up billions of dollars in idle money. The amount of idle capital is actually in the trillions. This is something that we hear quite frequently. You have probably heard about Nostro VTO accounts, which are yours and mine if you have been working in the cryptocurrency field for some time. In the event that a bank is transferring a significant amount of money or money into a different nation, they are required to have the money already present in a pre-funded account. This has resulted in a significant amount of money being stashed away in various parts of the system. The amount of friction that we are attempting to eliminate is rather significant. Consequently, this would make it possible for Ripple to employ XRP in a manner that has never been seen before on a vast scale. You also need to realize that a lot of individuals don't devote as much time as you do to studying all of this information and being up to date with the news. Therefore, if you are a bank or a financial institution and you are considering Ripple, there are definitely some checks that you perform that we do not perform. However, there is also a great deal of information that they might not have or know because they are not keeping up with it in the same way that you and I are. This would truly give Ripple the, thumbs up or the go abuad or regulatory clearance from any financial institution to trust Ripple. This is because in order to have a banking license of this level, you need to follow a lot of different things. Furthermore, I am going to provide you with that in a nanosecond. If you haven't already, you should view the first video I made on this topic. I'll be right back with you in a moment with that. As a result of higher institutional adoption, Ripple would be more trusted by financial institutions. This would speed up the acceptance of XRP as a settlement asset, which may potentially lead to a rise in demand for pricing and stability. That would be wonderful to hear. price stability and rising demand are both benefits, to be sure, yes. The ease with which institutions might purchase, store and employ XRP for large-scale transactions would be facilitated by increased liquidity, regulatory certainty, and direct access to payment rails. This would further increase the amount of liquidity available. Of course, there is also the consideration of security and transparency. In addition to lowering the risk of fraud and boosting compliance with regulated companies, the blockchain technology that XRP utilizes offers a visible and audible record of transactions. What do you know that I don't see on this page? As an illustration, let's consider the digital money issued by the European Central Bank (ECB). If you are a nation and you want to establish a digital currency that is issued by the central bank, the best firm to collaborate with for blockchain infrastructure would be a financial institution. Do you agree? This is the highest level of trust that can be found in this system. The greatest possible advantages for RLUSD ripples that support reliable on-chain settlement. Ripple's USD peg stable currency offers a stable medium for transactions, hence limiting the risk of banks and institutions to the volatility of cryptocurrencies. This is particularly useful for the settlement of payroll and treasury options. Also, if Ripple were to introduce a stablecoin for JP Morgan, for example, what would the four major banks in the United States be doing if they wanted to develop a stablecoin? Yes, that was JP Morgan. It was Wells Fargo, Citigroup, and Bank of America who were involved. Considering that they have this, do you believe that they would probably consider that Ripple is probably the best solution to launch that stablecoin on, particularly if Ripple themselves were in reality a bank? What do you say? Strengthen the ecology of XRP. The RLUSD transactions that take place on the XRP ledger and its EVM sidechain are compensated with a very little amount of XRP that is burned for gas costs. Therefore, with more transactions, more gas being utilized, and more XRP being burnt, deflationary liquidity management is being implemented. As a bank-issued stablecoin, RLUSD would be subject to banking regulations, which would make it more appealing to regulated institutions and enable broader integration with traditional finance. Banks could use RLUSD for stable and predictable settlements and then convert it to XRP for cross-border liquidity, optimizing capital flows and minimizing foreign exchange risk. Additionally, regulatory compliance would be achieved. Therefore, if you are interested in reading a summary of the impact, below are some examples. After that, I won't read those to you again. I would want to demonstrate to you that this is something that I extracted from my most recent movie, which is already uploaded on my channel. This movie was really created by me the day prior, before we ever received this information. This video is not the first video I created about Ripple becoming a bank, rather it is the current video. Over the course of the past 6 to 12 months, I have produced a few of these films. A great number of individuals referred to me as insane. These days, aren't they a little less crazy? Consequently, these are the steps that Ripple would need to take in order to submit an application to become a bank. I've got you covered if you didn't see the video. Okay, here it is.